to a special edition of Just 5 Mins at Easter 2004, 2024, I was going to say. And it's a crypto pact update. Everybody must have heard of Bitcoin, but has everybody heard of Ethereum and other crypto markets? Well, anyway, there's some interesting things. And the key thing is, are we missing a trick here? Because even though Bitcoin is deemed quite risky and very volatile, etc., I would argue, well, isn't the whole world a bit volatile? Yeah, there's some safe bets, isn't there? I do have some Bitcoin myself, and yeah, it's what they say on the tin. You've got to be prepared to lose all of it. But I'm really just a complete noob observer, really. But it does seem like there's a bit of a chasm of the early adopters to the mainstream. And the reason for that is that there's been a big thing in America. I don't really know the full details, but where Bitcoin is being traded and the SEC, in the US, also the FCA, I think in the UK as well, but certainly the SEC in America, up until fairly recently, there was this big thing about it, ETF, electronic traded funds, and whether or not Bitcoin and other crypto currencies could be deemed as that sort of ETF type mechanism. I don't know the full details, but I do know that there was a ruling that was in favor of Bitcoin, and there's people like BlackRock, which is one of those, I think probably one of, if not the biggest sort of funds on the planet, have been buying up loads of Bitcoin. And you've probably seen, even if you haven't really been following this, Bitcoin has rallied from, I don't know, luckily I bought some Bitcoin when it was about, I don't know, was it about 17, 18,000 or 19,000 a Bitcoin? It's now, today I'm not sure, but it's up around the 54,000 a Bitcoin. Now, obviously, it could plummet tomorrow. It could absolutely go ballistic. In fact, there's something called a halving process that is going on in April. I don't know exactly when, but it's to do with how Bitcoins are mined. There's too much to go through now. I'm going to write a little article about it, and I'll link to that in the show notes. But ultimately, Bitcoins are mined with masses of amount of computing power, and it's solving mathematical puzzles to verify the ledger, because Bitcoin, like a lot of these cryptos, are built on a blockchain, basically. And I did do an episode on blockchains just generally a while ago. I'll try to find a link to that as well. But the idea is it's an open ledger. It's like a public ledger. So instead of a bank or a company owning a ledger with all the incomings, outgoings, and all the rest of it, all the activities, the blockchain is public, and it's verified by lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of different independent servers mining and checking all this, that nothing's been changed. Okay. And the algorithm actually is quite interesting. But anyway, the point is that Ethereum, that launched in, when did Bitcoin launch? Around about 2015, I think. Ethereum, yes, it's sort of being used as a bit of a crypto currency as well. But the big thing with Ethereum is that you as a developer or a company can create smart contracts. So you can actually utilize that blockchain technology on Ethereum. There's things called Solidity, and there's other developer tools that you can create these smart contracts. But anyway, the point being is that And yes, I am going over the 5 minutes for this one. But anyway, the idea is that as a developer, you can leverage that network, okay, that network of public ledger, the blockchain. And Bitcoin hasn't had this until fairly recently. I don't know when this was announced actually, but it's the BVM, the Bitcoin virtual machine. It's that they Ethereum mentions this as well. It's like L2, layer two, because I'm guessing, and I am making a big guess here. Layer one is like the de facto control. Layer two is where they're allowing external third parties to build on it. Okay, but Bitcoin BVM layer two is a similar thing. It's a similar thing where you can actually build on top of Bitcoin's blockchain, with a few differences actually. So it's an interesting world that's going on. Why do you care? Well, maybe not, but you see, this isn't really new. This has been out for a while, and I know companies that are actually using things like smart contracts on Ethereum to do everything from logistics software. So you've got um, public ledgers of uh, you know products getting moved from here to there to wherever, so that not one company is holding that database internally. Okay. And of course, you've got everything on top of that, all the procurement type stuff. There's lots of different uses of this. And it's like I say, it's not new. Smart contracts and dApps, distributed apps, which I did a little session on as well. I should revisit that. Um, Again, a dApp allows you to have this distributed app that's a smart contract that you can actually plug in and actually use that type of blockchain technology. And the whole point ultimately is that you can't change a transaction because all of these other millions and millions of servers, or certainly hundreds of thousands, are all validating what it should be, what those transactions should be. So if you make a change, it breaks the blockchain. Okay, so you basically can't do that. So that's why, even though people say, "Oh, isn't it dangerous?" Well, isn't it dangerous having a company owning the data that you can't actually see if they've actually done anything with anyway? And actually, the other bit is in Microsoft SQL. Actually, just as a bit of a side, is that they did have blockchain as a service. Well, Azure had a blockchain as a service, but I've noticed in, I think, SQL 2022, you've actually got the equivalent. They haven't tied it, I don't think, explicitly to one blockchain like Bitcoin or Ethereum, but they do have essentially like a ledger type table. So another one for later, that one. But anyway, the whole point is that this halving process on Bitcoin, let's get back to that, is where the mining, where they go and validate all of these transactions and they do these complicated mathematical things, the value of Bitcoin gets halved every 4-ish years. I suppose to keep the demand, it's all anyway. Everything sounds a bit ridiculous, but you think about money anyway. The fiat currencies, they're sort of, I mean, yeah, we all trust them a little bit more because there's all government and institutions controlling them. But what about where they do fractional reserve lending, for instance, or quantitative easing, where they can just literally print more money? Well, then when people say about the halving in Bitcoin, it's not really that different. But anyway, as this halving process takes place, and there's more adoption of the general public, including retail companies that apparently later this year, 2024, that is later this year, may be coming on board as well. So, but it's not about the currency, although that is still quite an amazing thing. There's people making lots of squillions out of this. And because it is or can be quite volatile, these cryptocurrencies, movement is good if you're a day trader, possibly. But anyway, but the point being, on top of all of that, with the cryptocurrency aspect, is the fact that you've got this Bitcoin layer 2 as a service, this BVM. So it's really a bit of a like, okay, where are the use cases? And again, the interesting thing, Ethereum has been doing smart contracts for quite some time, and apparently, a lot of the Solidity stuff, which is the framework that you build smart contracts on, one that you build on your Ethereum, is you can actually convert to Bitcoin BVM fairly easy with minimal changes, apparently. But anyway, it's this opening of this public ledger blockchain type thing. And again, Ethereum's had this for a while, so it's not new. But I thought it was just an interesting one to see where Bitcoin and blockchain is going, really. And I think it's that sort of thing. AI's got the limelight at the moment. It has for the last year or two now. But the whole, not necessarily cryptocurrencies, but the whole blockchain type mechanism that permeates through all of those Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the other ones that come across. They're all built on that type of blockchain. I do think, yeah, as developers, maybe we're missing a trick a little bit and looking at the use cases. And I think that's the problem. It's until you actually see something that's got real utility to actually use, it's difficult to actually get your head around. But honestly, I think it's worth a little portion of your time to actually investigate. But anyway, enough of a rant for me. Absolutely useless information for cryptocurrencies, but just to try to bring a little bit of this up-to-date information to you out there in podcast land. So anyway, until next time, take care, and we'll catch you on the next one.